Environmental and planning issues are pivotal in this whole discussion. New waste facilities need to be planned for, and they need planning permission. The planning system is our key tool in providing the right opportunities and guiding the development that we need. It is critical that the right facilities are delivered in the right place at the right time, within the right budget. It is also not as simple as gaining one permission. There are often other hoops to jump through, such as environmental permits, but planning permission is fundamental, both for allowing change, but also for ensuring that these changes are for the better. The planning debate starts with the preparation of the waste strategy and development plan. The waste strategy identifies the management options required to deal with the different waste produced within a local authority area. It looks at the types and quantities of wastes, and from this the best approaches can be determined. The development plan sets out the policies against which new development proposals are judged and should set out which sites are suitable in principle for waste facilities.
Now, the aim of the development plan system is to set out where future waste facilities should be located. And this requires an understanding of what the current position is, what the future growth in waste requirements are, and how many and where those facilities should go.
Clearly, all new facilities will have to obtain planning permission before they're built. This process involves consultation with a range of people, including the local community. This ensures that any new waste facilities will be provided in an open and transparent way and allows everybody to be included in the process.
When the idea of building an anaerobic digestion facility here came around, we went along to the county planners to discuss it, and they said, you've got to consult, and then you've got to consult, and then consult again. So an extensive programme of consultation was set up. We had evening groups, day groups, we went out to people in the areas with the plans, with a model, and talked about what was going to be done. And so by the time it came to going into planning, most of those concerns have been raised and talked about, so people's fears have been allayed, or in some cases those concerns have been able to be taken on board and things have been modified so that those had been taken into consideration.
Seeing other sites is very valuable, if you can, not only from a councillor's point of view, but if you can get local people that are very strongly perhaps against or they've got concerns, if you can get them to see other sites which are working, that tends to convince people.
One of the key concerns when considering any waste management technique is the impact that it may have on the environment. There are many issues that may or may not apply to all sites. First of all, there are the site-specific issues. Setting and location should always be one of the first considerations. How does it relate to surrounding land uses? Is it an industrial or a residential area? Is it urban or is it rural? Is it greenfield or is it brownfield? Overall, is the facility that is being proposed compatible? Other aspects around location also need to come into play. Who is the facility serving, and is it convenient? Traffic is often a potentially big issue. Does the site have good road access? Are rail or river access appropriate and possible? Site-specific issues can also relate to what's on the site at the moment. For instance, does it provide an important habitat, or are there archaeological remains? Such things always need to be considered, otherwise it can cause major problems later in the process. There are also many planning and environmental issues that need to be factored into the debate regardless of location. As you can imagine, with waste facilities, emotive words include pollution, smell and noise. Many of these generic issues can be effectively addressed if they are considered properly during the initial planning stages.
This facility has a number of features built into it at the planning stage which lessen the impact it has on the environment and the people around it. We have an air handling system which has a rather complex pre-filters, charcoal filters, which neutralises the air from the facility leaving the facility. Inside the building we have an air neutralising system, an odour suppression system and a dust suppression system which reduces the amount of dust, keeps the dust down and also puts a fragrance into the air. So should there be any odours, it is neutralised by the sprays and the misting system that we have. We also have adapted our machinery with a volume switch, which means that we can turn the machines beacons down at night so they don't make such a loud noise when there's less less traffic, so that noise doesn't travel.
Pollution is mainly associated with one of two things: substances released to the atmosphere or substances released to the ground or water. Emissions to air can be reduced in various ways, and transportation of the waste should be minimised by putting the management facilities as close to the source as possible. Certain facilities, particularly thermal treatment, will have various abatement technologies incorporated to minimise any emissions. Facilities should be designed to reduce the potential for substances to be released, and ideally they should not be placed within areas prone to flooding. Smell or odour is also an important consideration. There are many ways that this can be controlled. The first option is to locate a waste facility some distance from sensitive receptors such as residents. This can overcome much of the problem, but we live in a small country and many facilities need to be located in urban areas to serve those communities. If you put the facility in a building, you instantly reduce the potential problem. You can use negative pressure systems to control airflow and filter it. You can also use a variety of sprays to suppress odours and minimise the potential issue. The other positive thing is that many of these options can be fitted to a facility at any point, so they could be used in both new and old facilities alike. All waste facilities will generate noise as they involve large vehicles and machinery, but various things can be used to minimise the potential impact. As with odour, if you put the facility into a building, you instantly reduce the problem. Noise-absorbing materials can be incorporated into the buildings, and fencing can reduce the potential impact. Visual impacts can result from any waste facility of any scale. Various things can be considered to minimise this type of impact. In the first instance, the location of the facility should be considered carefully. Secondly, various measures such as planting or fencing can be used to screen them. Where larger facilities are proposed, screening becomes less of an option, but large new facilities can also be seen as an opportunity to make an architectural statement, as can be seen with many new thermal treatment plants. Transport is an area that can overlap with several of the issues that we've already talked about. Vehicles are sources of noise and air pollution, as well as contributing to congestion. Such issues can be minimised by the careful location of waste management facilities and the specific routing of vehicles to avoid sensitive locations such as residential areas.
Various measures have been incorporated into the design of this facility to minimise its impact on the surroundings. For example, the road leading up to the facility is sufficiently long to avoid queuing on the public roads. There are also sprays inside the building to minimise dust and odour, and there are also stormwater tanks built into the facility to ensure that it doesn't exacerbate flooding of the nearby brook.
There are many environmental issues that are linked with waste management. All of these need thorough and detailed consideration, which is why a detailed environmental impact assessment is required for many waste management facilities. These assessments should be scoped to consider all the potentially significant environmental impacts. They should also identify measures that could be taken to reduce, minimise or avoid any potential effects. This assessment forms part of the planning process, and permission will only be granted where the potential impacts are considered acceptable.
It is possible to create new waste facilities, very high-tech, best practice, in a very confined area and very close to a lot of housing, and we can do that in an inner city area. It's tough, but it can be done.